So, okay, let's say that you already completed your editing. You've done everything, you've done all of your timelines, you've done all of your recording, you did every single thing. So what now? Well, you will need to export your videos. Exporting basically means that you will transform your project into an actual video in the end that is viewable and uploadable on Udemy. So how we can do that? The first thing that you will need to do is, of course, go to the Deliver tab in DaVinci Resolve, which is the very last workspace in DaVinci Resolve, and this is basically where rendering is actually happening. And when you open it, you are going to be bombarded with a barrage of options, but it's actually not as difficult as you might think. First things first that you will need to do is you will need to choose the settings for your export. Basically, what your video will look like technically at the end, and you will need to be very careful with that because Udemy cannot accept all type of videos. They need a very specific type of videos, and here I'm going to show you what you can do. So on the left part right here, you have all your settings, basically where you choose your settings. And usually I go with the custom settings, but what you can do is actually you can go and choose the YouTube settings. Why am I saying this? Usually Udemy and YouTube have very similar settings of export, so you can just go on with the YouTube to have a little less options, and which becomes a little less daunting for you because otherwise it might be like a bit way too overwhelming. And you can actually go back and forth between these two, so it won't be a problem. I'm still going to be explaining everything in a custom because yeah, it's better for you to know what is happening in a custom because you can just tweak your settings more here. But yeah, if you for simpler options, if you don't want all the options, or whether you would think that all the options are not necessary for you, you can go for the YouTube and you have less options, but the options that are far more important. Okay, let's go to the custom. First thing that you will need to choose is, of course, the file name, basically the end file name, and usually it should be the name of the lecture. And I highly suggest you to have the number in front of your lecture as well, the actual number of lecture in the course. It's better for you in the future because when you're going to be uploading it, it will be easier for you to recognize which lecture you are working with. You can choose the title here. I'm gonna just give it a title exactly what it is. It's number 2 for you will, so this will be the title. Then of course you're going to choose the location where it will be exported. You can press browse in this case and just choose the location. I'm not going to be doing this right now because I'm not ready to export this particular lecture at the moment. And yeah, basically you're going to choose the file and folder where you will export this. Make sure that you are exporting it in a file, make sure that you're exporting it in a folder that is easily accessible for you and it's safe. Basically not export it on the drive that it may be damaged or things like that. Make sure that the place where that you're exporting to is safe. And of course choose a single clip and just in a render, because basically means that you're actually exporting everything as a single clip. If you're going to choose an individual clip, it will export everything as separate clips that you don't need to do so. Of course, you're doing export video. You're going to choose the video here as well. You're not just exporting audio and file. You basically can change the audio and file settings right here, but yeah, export video. Use format MP4 because sometimes you're going to have a QuickTime selected. Don't go for the QuickTime, even though it still works. It's better to choose the MP4 because Udemy said that you need to go with an MP4. Then for the codec, choose H.264. Don't choose that H.265 because it's sometimes it has problems on Udemy. At least it had for me. Maybe it was wrong setting for me, but H.264 works practically always on Udemy. So the second one, H.265, works on YouTube as well, but in this case, this where you will diverge a bit from YouTube. So go on H.264. Choose this one. Then use hardware acceleration if available. Always, it will make it a bit faster. Network optimization, you really don't need this, but if you want, you can choose this. It won't change a lot of things with your courses. Resolution, choose the resolution of your course, whatever it is. In my case, it's 1080p or 1920 by 1080. If you are exporting in 720p, it should be to 1280 by 720 or 720p, right? In my case, it will be 1080p. And frame rate is extremely important. Remember when we were actually starting our project, we actually chose the frame rate of our project. It was based on the frame rate of the video itself. Make sure the frame rate is correct, because DaVinci Resolve is allowing you to choose from several different frame rates. In my case, it's not 23.976, it's actually 24 FPS. So make sure that you are selecting is exactly how it is. Then next is quality. Now, quality is a bit difficult to understand for majority of the beginners here, but it's actually not that difficult. You can choose automatic, and it will basically give you the highest quality of whatever you have, basically the quality of your video itself, and the quality that actual MP4 and H.264 formats are actually allowing you to do. Or you can go to restrict to a certain bitrate. Basically, it will show you, it will ask you for the highest bitrate that you have. And by default, for me, it's 10,000 kilobits, or basically 10 megabits. And this is where you can actually play around with. Usually, the higher bitrate you have, the higher quality it can achieve. So in my case, in your case, you can actually go with 10,000 or 10 megabits per second, or 10,000 kilobits per second. It won't be an issue. But usually with the 1080p, you don't need anything higher than 6,000 kilobits per second or 6 megabits per second. You can play this around. If you have the 10,000 kilobits per second, the end result will be higher quality, but the file will be larger as well. So if you don't have the problems with an internet, and if you can just upload it with ease, it won't be an issue for you. But if you have a problems with the internet, decrease the quality a bit and check whether the quality degraded a lot or not. And make sure that it did not degrade a lot, because you must know that when you upload it on Udemy as well, it is getting again transcoded there, and that you might lose quality a bit further. So just be sure of it. You will not lose a lot of quality with decreasing the bitrate. Coding profile, go with auto, entropy mode, go with auto, and everything, just select exactly the same settings that I have. Advanced settings, yeah, you can just go exactly the same settings that I have. You can just go and choose these ones if you want. It doesn't really matter. If you have a bit slower computer, you can just go and select like these ones, like use optimized media or use proxy media. It will make it a bit faster to render, and use render cached images as well. You can make it a bit faster. But yeah, I highly suggest you just don't play with these ones too much, because yeah, most likely you won't understand a lot of these things. Even I don't understand everything what is happening right here. Yeah, just don't go play around with this one. Then go 100% go to audio. Make sure to choose the codec of AAC. Usually that's the only thing that you will have. And constant bitrate, and the maximum quality of your audio is 320 kilobits per second. This is the maximum quality. You cannot go above than that. It won't be any audible differences with there. Make sure that's just like that. Sample rate is should be same as project, and bit depth should be at least 16. Make sure that this is exactly how it is. And all that will need you to do after that, when you choose everything, you can choose add to the render. You can choose add to the render queue. For me, it will not show because I actually don't have file location selected. So let me choose it right now. And basically, when I will press add to the render queue, it will add it right here. I'm covering some parts with my face, but that's not that very important. It will add it right here. And basically, you will add all of your timelines right here, and it will just add it to the queue. It will not start rendering. Don't worry about that. You will not do anything at this moment. And when you add everything right here, basically, you can just go and render all of them simultaneously, all of your lectures simultaneously, or you can just choose a select number of files and just render it accordingly. Basically, you can choose like 2 videos at the same time and render both of them, or 3 or 4 or 5, or just add 10 if you want. If your computer is powerful enough, you can go with all at the same time. I suggest you to do them one by one, because it will be easier for a computer. So how you can actually start rendering? Well, basically, you need to choose the file that you want, and what I'm covering my face here, you're gonna have render all right here. So in this case, 1 is all, and that's why you're rendering it all, and that's why I chose it all. But if you have like 2 render files, for example, you can edit another one. It's exactly the same one, but still, if you select only 1, you can see that it transformed it into render 1. If I go and select, let's say, second one, it will go to render all. But let's say, let's add it again in another render queue. If I select, let's say, with command, I'm clicking the command and selecting this, and it will show you render 2. So basically, it will allow you to choose all the rendering files that you want. You can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number that you want. I'm going to just clear this one because I don't need this at this moment. So this is how we actually will do exporting, and basically it will start rendering. It will just show you the bar right here. It's basically go through the video, and it will rather go pretty slowly depending on your computer. If you have a powerful computer, it will go pretty quickly. If you have weaker computer, it will start going slow. Just wait until it's done, and yeah, basically your videos are rendered, and congratulations, you basically created your course. And now all you need to do is actually go on Udemy itself and start uploading it there, and in the next lecture we're going to be doing exactly that. So I'm gonna see you there. See you and take care.